Nigeria's inflation rate hits 25.80% in August, says National Bureau of Statistics. Investors load mining roadmap planned visit to Nigeria. Oil prices rise to 10-month high on China reserve ratio cut. Asia Pacific rise as China August activity data largely beat expectations. This is Business Express coming to you live from the network service of the NTA. I am Musa Abubakar. Let's begin by telling you that latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that Nigeria's headline inflation rate increased to 25.80% in August 2023, relative to the July 2023 headline inflation rate, which was 24.08%. Looking at the movement, August 2023 headline inflation rate shows an increase of 1.72 percentage points when compared to the July 2023 headline inflation rate. On a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 5.27 percentage points higher compared to the rate recorded in August 2022, which was 20.52%. This shows that the headline inflation rate increased in August 2023 when compared to the same month in the preceding year. The contributions of items on divisional level to the increase in the headline inflation are presented below. Similarly, on a month-on-month basis, the headline inflation rate in August 2023 was 3.18%, which was 0.29 percentage points higher than the rate recorded in July 2023. There is a renewed commitment by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure Nigeria achieve double-digit economic growth and tackle inflation. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Bagudu, gave the assurance at the 22nd edition of Joint Planning Board and National Council on Development Planning meetings in Osogbo.
Anything else, we are a federation, and our fates are tied together. And the more we reflect on our shared values, our shared goals, and cooperate, the quicker will we achieve growth and development.
It is crucial that we come together to chart a course that ensures not only growth, but sustainability for all Nigerians.
I'd like to assure you all that the customs will remain steadfast in our commitments to supporting and aligning with national development agenda.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has issued a warning to international money transfer operators for allegedly engaging in foreign exchange arbitrage within the country. The Apex Bank issued the warning in a circular signed by its Director of Trade and Exchange Department. The bank frowned at arbitrary rate quotes outside the permissible range, which violates the extant regulations. CBN said the warning became necessary following the recent violations and breaches by some operators, aggravating the forex crisis. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Zaccheaus Adedeji as the new acting executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS). The president has directed the ISWAF FIRS Chairman Mohammed Nami to proceed on 3 months of pre-retirement leave leading to his eventual retirement from service on December 8, 2023. Zakios Adedeji is now appointed in acting capacity for a 90-day period before his subsequent confirmation as the substantive executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service for a term of 4 years in the first instance. Also, the former executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mohammed Nami, says the agency generated 8 trillion naira in 8 months as the country's tax to gross domestic product rose to 10.86% under his leadership. He stated this in a farewell statement where he thanked former President Muhammadu Buhari and Tinubu for the opportunity to serve the country and humanity. Now, with less than 40 million Nigerian presently paying taxes, Chairman Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, Mohammed Bello Shehu, says there is need for the tax base to be enlarged. He stated this in an interview with Olayinka Ojo, where he noted that it is when taxes are paid that government can better serve Nigerians and meet their basic needs socially, economically, and infrastructurally.
There are people that have hundreds of millions, but if you look at their tax returns yearly, some don't even have it. So I believe this government can do it, and I think they are on the right direction in terms of that aspect. It's very important for every Nigerian to try and pay something, because it's from those money that you get services. The more you pay taxes, the more the government have money and harness the money and put it in road construction, in rail construction, in better hospitals, in better pension, better social security, plan to help the needy and the poor.
Now, a few days ago, the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, expressed the commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to improve budget meant for education by 25% with the right policies in place. Mamman said this while declaring open the 2021-2022 Nigeria Annual Education Conference in Abuja. The theme of the conference is Stark Implementation of Education 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in Nigeria, where he also pledged commitment to bridge the gaps between education policy statements and its actualization outcomes. Now, this brings us to earlier discussion of the issues of funding for the education sector. And now I'll hand over to Benny Adams, who earlier in the day had a discussion on what must be done to address these challenges with transnational education expert Matthias Ehuzuo.
And now on the issue on the table, we're taking a look at how the Nigerian education system is as at today and what can we add to make it better, talking about international collaborations and the services sector. We're talking about education being a service that can be exported outside this country. And I have with me in the studio Matthias Ehuzuo. He is a transnational education expert and the CEO OAAU Study Center. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you for having me.
Great. If you have been following developments in Nigeria, you will understand that we've had reforms from curricula to a kind of funding for education to ensure that education is provided almost free at the basic levels and up. Well, a little bit of free education, but not completely free. That is if you're going public. But if you're going private, I tell you education can be expensive. You hear phrases like, if you think education is expensive, you try ignorance. Well, the present administration, talking about the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, came on to say, since some students or most Nigerian youths are having a difficult going through schools because of the expenses involved, we've had a student loan scheme that has been introduced to help students go through school without having a lot of financial hassles. I'm sure you've heard of that. Any thoughts towards that? Is that a good initiative from where you're coming from?
Yes, it's a wonderful initiative from the presidency with the Education Bank coming into practice very soon. It's going to provide a level playing ground for students to be able to access higher education in Nigeria. And just like you know, globally, Nigerian education has not been marketed or promoted positively. But we do have one of the best education systems in the world. Our medical doctors who are trained in Nigeria are practicing almost everywhere in the world. In the UK, our Nigerian doctors are practicing. They don't have to go through another education while in the UK. And so there's a need for we to encourage more initiative to promote the Nigerian education system. And the initiative from the presidency is welcome.
Okay, having said that, we have a lot of Nigerian youth living in the country talking about the Japa syndrome, and most of them will tell you we are going to school. We're going to school in the UK, in the US. Yes, some go to school while they work and earn something. Some is just about school, and when they get such knowledge, coming back home to contribute to the system is usually a challenge. They prefer to stay back there and practice. Like you've rightly mentioned, Nigerians are doing very great out there. Are you now saying, is it for those who have studied here, who have earned this knowledge here and now practicing out there, or are those youth that have left Nigeria and go to study abroad and get to practice there?
Yeah, our international education on its own, it's a very positive initiative for people to go abroad to study. And there's no brain drain for Nigeria per se, because the contribution of the international community into Nigeria in terms of diaspora remittance, it's on the high side. And even at pair with our GDP, a lot of diaspora remittance come into the country as a result of them being trained overseas and working overseas. So going abroad to study presents the opportunity to increase diaspora remittance into Nigeria, which on its own has a multiplier effect in the economy. And a lot of people build houses, they invest in local businesses in Nigeria, they support their family members in Nigeria. So going abroad to study, it's a good thing, but what we need to do as a government is to encourage and make it more affordable for Nigeria to be able to study abroad. And that is part of the reason why we're having this conversation today, to look for a better alternative that could also benefit the Nigeria economy, because we do understand the huge financial implication going abroad cost on the government in terms of the pressure on our forex, for example. In the past 10 years, the CBN subsidized international tuition fee remittance close to $29 billion in the past 10 years. And the personal travel allowance on the other side, which include medical tourism and basic needs while traveling overseas, was around 58 billion in terms of dollars that have been subsidized by the CBN. So this is a big drain on our forex, and it's having a huge pressure on the forex. So if there's a better alternative for the government to consider, it's what we are putting forward, which is a transnational education system where you can have Nigerians studying part of their programs in Nigeria before going overseas to study. Let's take, for example, you're going to the UK to do a degree in the UK. You don't have to go to the UK to complete a foundation or to do the first year. You can easily do that program here in Nigeria, having foreign universities coming into Nigeria to set up campuses or working with our existing universities. That could reduce the cost of studying abroad by 30%. Because studying locally within Nigeria in same foreign university, you get to pay in local currency, in Nigerian naira, which means the pressure on the forex is going to be reduced drastically. So these are means we can use to support the ongoing Japa syndrome, as you said, going abroad to study. But it will be good we have the first step in Nigeria first before going overseas, because the benefits of studying abroad, as I said, is enormous for the economy.
a possible handshake between the local institutions and these institutions abroad in terms of curriculum design, practicable kind of knowledge acquisition that can be translated from sort of research in the classroom to industry and the markets?
As I said, it's all about collaboration, partnerships. So this is very key to enhance our curricula. Nigeria being one of the top country sending students overseas, compared to other part of Africa, we are number 1 in Africa and number 8 globally sending market, which means our education is already well exposed overseas, and it will be good the government creates an enabling environment to attract partnership in curricular development. And this involves working closely with some of our top elites universities in Nigeria. Maybe we could pick about 6 universities within the 6 geopolitical zone and transform these universities into international university and forming partnership with countries like in the UK, for example. There are universities in the UK that will be willing, even in Australia, universities in Australia that will be willing to form such partnership to enhance our local education delivery and improve the opportunities for people coming also to study within Nigeria. I believe it's going to be a new thing for we to think that there could be a business out of education. And this is a new area the government needs to actually look into. Education as an export, as an exportable service. We have our neighboring countries. Nigeria, for example, have been going to Ghana to study. International education in Ghana currently is valued at $1.1 billion annually. And Nigeria is a major contribution to that. In the UK, currently valued at $36 billion annually. Australia, for example, where I'm from, it's currently valued at $29 billion. Pre-COVID, it was at $37 billion. So there's huge financial returns for the economy if the government could create an enabling grant for partnership to enhance our existing curricula and also bring in foreign universities and support the existing private universities in Nigeria as well. We have great private universities that are making landmark reforms and research.
Okay, talking about experts and professionals in transnational education. Yes, you've mentioned some of the steps to take. Practically, what are you bringing to the table?
Education is a business and it has to be treated by professionals in that space. Part of what we're bringing on the table will be to set up a steering committee to drive the Commission for International Education in Nigeria, which will enhance and promote the education system in Nigeria, at the same time market education globally. Such commissions in other parts of the world is like the British Council, for example, which is quite familiar to Nigerians. And we have Education Malaysia, we have Education USA. These are commissions that have been dedicated in promotion of the country's education system. As I've mentioned earlier on, Nigeria has one of the best education and globally, and that is evidenced with our medical doctors who are practicing almost everywhere in the world. Most of them are in the UK, in Australia, in Canada. So we need to change the narrative in terms of how our education system is being perceived. And the government is working with assurances provided that no more strikes in our university system. And this is going to be a good way to enhance the university and provide trust and assurance for investors to come and work with local Nigerian universities. And that is where we come in.
What is there to learn? What can the Nigerian system learn from the international education space where students can easily have access to the best of materials to kind of hone their skills than you studying at the same time you're working?
Well, I think that's about flexibility. So we need to create more opportunities for Nigerian students. While studying, they should have the flexibility to work, which means there needs to be a curriculum redesign, which enables flexibility and work-life and study balances. So that is what is available elsewhere in the world. Curriculum are usually 20 hours a week in terms of study time. In Nigeria, it's a different ball game. You probably have to commit about 40 to 60 hours a week and as a student attending class activities. So there needs to be a redesign in terms of how our curriculum is being delivered at the university level. So this will create an enabling environment for Nigerians to be able to work while study. At the same time, the digital economy is growing very big, and the Nigerian government is making a lot of initiative in that space, where we can have a lot of startups within the university community, creating jobs and more access to fund. And if the education bank also could be extended further, apart from covering and tuition fees and bursary, maybe to support student startups initiative within the university community. So this will create more opportunities for Nigerians to actually study in Nigeria, and also attract foreigners to come and study in the country at the same time.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Matthias Ehizwa, transnational education expert, for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time. This is an ongoing conversation that we would love to keep having over and over as you make progress in this partnership at this time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, now moving on, federal government says renewed partnership with solid minerals endowed states will be strengthened to harness potential of the non-oil sector for improved revenue and job creation. Minister of Solid Minerals Development Dele Alake said this when he received Governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule.
Mechanisms together, we are crossing the T's and dotting the I's to make sure that Nigeria as a nation derives maximum benefit from this God-given gift of minerals that are in abundance in Nigeria. We are going to harness and utilize efficiently, effectively, and proficiently to ensure that Nigeria really expends the resources also judiciously.
I came first to congratulate him as a brother, as a friend, who earns it. And I'm happy to see that he's also very excited to be here, and he has been working on it. So it looks like it is going to be win-win situation for Nigeria here.
Now to the capital market. Nigerian equities ended the last trading day for the week in positive territory as the all-share index closed trading at 67,373.05 basis points. At the end of Friday's trading session on the exchange, a total of 396.7 million shares and 6,865 deals corresponding to a market value of 5.1 billion naira were traded. Market capitalization stood at 36.8 trillion naira. The global market, Asia market rise as China August activity data largely beat expectations. Bossade is standing by for more details.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. The European Central Bank ECB increased interest rates by 25 basis points, the 10th consecutive hike, taking its main rate to a record high of 4%. European markets saw a positive trading Friday as markets reacted to the European Central Bank's suggestion that its latest hike may be its last, and as global stocks rallied. DAX rose 1.02%, FTSE 0.81%, and CAC 40 of France also topped 1.63%. Asian markets largely climbed, strengthened by a slew of China's economic data for August that were better than market expectations. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index rebounded to rise 1% in its final hour. Japan's Nikkei 225 climbed 1.10% at 33,533.09, while the Shanghai Composite dipped 0.28% at 3,117.74. Stock futures in the U.S. ticked up on Friday after markets rallied on the back of the latest initial public offering debut. Futures connected to the Dow Jones Industrial Average topped 0.26%. S&P 500 also followed suit at 0.14%, while the Nasdaq Composite dipped 0.2% at 15,670.75. For Africa, South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 ended this week by retaining its strength. Namibia overall index followed suit at 0.76%, while Tunisia and Ghana's GSA Composite closed the week bearish. That's the Global Market Review. I am Bosede Abel.
Well, thank you, Bosede. Well, Business Express returns Monday at 3 p.m. Thanks for watching.